Hello and welcome to episode 66 of the Roker Rapport Podcast. I am your host James Copley and I am joined as always by Gav. How you doing, mate?
Not as always.
Well,
often.
Mostly.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know why I've got like as always in my brain.
Because you normally go as always, Connor Bromley, and he's not here tonight.
But he's not here, thank God. Thank God. But fear not, because we have got somebody here who will provide wit. We have professional comedian David Callaghan.
Hello. Hello, boys. You alright?
How's
Yes.
things?
Yeah, I'm good. Really good. Just very hungover and tired because it's been the end of the Glasgow International Comedy Festival. So I've not seen Sunderland, I'd say, for 6 weeks. Genuinely, I can't recommend it enough. I'm so happy. I'm getting erections again. It's great. It's really, really good. Highly recommend never watching this gypsy curse of a team.
So we'll go first off into a bit of background on yourself, David. Tell us what you do, what scenes you're on, what's happening.
So at the moment, I'm currently doing a show for... I've just done it at the Glasgow Festival, and then it'll be going to the Fringe. It's called Dead Man's Chest, and it is a technological stand-up adventure where the audience control what happens in the show using their smartphones.
Oh.
There's 269 billion different versions of the show, and I've never done the same one twice. And that'll be going to Brighton in May, Guildford in June, Cambridge Festival in the end of June, London and... somewhere else in July, and I'm doing one in Newcastle, so that's kind of where my focus is at the moment. That's going to Edinburgh, and then I'm doing a stand-up show as well, which is called One for Sorrow, Two for Joy, Shoes, which is just a factual statement about shoes. And that'll be at the Fringe as well. So I just drive around in the middle of the night. I go and tell jokes to people in Sheffield, and then I drive back, and it's just me and dead-eyed lorry drivers.
It sounds like a life. And you have a show on Thursday as well?
Yeah, so I've been asked by the Writers' Festival in Sunderland to put on a gig, and it's independent on Thursday. I can't remember how much tickets are, but I think they're less than a tenner. And it's Matt Reid opening, Joe McGeehan, who was Leicester Square Theatre New Act of the Year 2017, the Delightful Sausage in the middle, who are a sketch group from Manchester, just finished supporting Kevin Bridges at the Manchester Comedy Store, and then Carl Hutchinson, who is Chris Ramsey's tour support, done a lot of telly work, stand-up headlining. So I think we've sold 60, but it'd be nice to sell it out if anyone wants to come down. I think it's going to be a smasher.
Good, nice. Very good. Make sure you catch that, listeners. Right, we'll go straight into the big news in football today, really, as it's International Week. It's been pretty slow until last night, where news broke that, well, from the Sun, so you got to take it with a pinch of salt, that Niall Quinn was on his way back on his white unicorn, to save Sunderland AFC from the plummet into League One. Gav, you got very excited last night. I didn't. I got very excited this morning instead. We kind of took it in shifts, didn't we?
It was about 2:30 when I got to bed. I was buzzing. Oh, God. I was like, God, Quinny's coming back. Have a party.
Do you think there's something going on? Because we've seen the rumour digress and evolve and change. Do you think what's going on? Tell the listeners.
By the time this goes out, it could have changed again. But as we know it right now, the club have distanced themselves from the rumour that Niall Quinn was part of a consortium plan to take over the club. But then in addition to that, we've also been told that he was asked to help on an advisory basis with a consortium a while ago. Whether he did or not, I've got no idea. Nobody seems to know. But like today, the narrative very much has been Niall Quinn is returning to Sunderland, which apparently isn't the case, which is a little bit sad. But for a little while, it did feel quite nice, pretending that
there is a
he was
rumour
going to
that he might be facilitating a deal or in an advisory role with a new consortium, isn't there?
Yeah, I guess we've just got to wait and see what happens. It's not straightforward in any sense of the word, a takeover. Especially not with a basket case of a club like Sunderland, where everything that could possibly have gone wrong this year has gone wrong. So, it wouldn't surprise us if Quinny did end up in Sunderland and end up dropping dead with a heart attack or something, and it would be
very similar. The whole thing's been very similar. I don't know if you agree, David, but the kind of the initial hope, everyone gets very excited, and then there's the payoff, which is never really a payoff, really, is it?
Wasn't it? It was an amazing feeling, just a little tinge of hope. Yeah. It's something that I've not experienced for 5 years. It's amazing. Yeah. A little part of my heart lit back up. There was a little glow in the firmament. I think it's mental. Why on earth? I understand Quinny's got got a lot of affection for the club, but it has to be just a sentimental thing if he wants to come back at this stage. I mean, if you're a businessman who's going to buy a football team, one, don't buy Sunderland, it never works. But also, you wait, and you either buy it at the start of the season when we're worth something, or you buy it when we've gone into administration. Because currently, what were we worth at the start of the season? 70 million. What are we worth now?
Apparently nothing. Nothing but the debt.
If the debt's to be believed, 100, 140. So we're worth minus 140 million quid. So until that's cleared, which I can't see it happening in the near future. I mean, if you look at the structure of the parachute payments, they're essentially what? 70 million over 3 seasons, 2 30s and a 10. Mm-hmm. So that all has to go to the American Sports Bank, because those are the guys that we're beholden to. Short can walk away and just, write it off. But the American Sports Bank will get their money, and they'll get it by hook or by crook. So you've got 30 million this season, you can get 30 million the next season, and then 10 million the next. That means that we're not going to be, in terms of, we're not going to be stable as a club and debt free from our debtors for another 2 years. It's mental to buy us now. It's crazy.
I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of how this works, but apparently that loan has to be refinanced this summer, I think.
I've heard that too, I think.
I think that was pretty much confirmed by Martin Bain at the supporters meeting, wasn't it? And I think the 140 million which you're talking about, that was the last set of accounts, the 2016 accounts, whereas we can probably assume that's dropped a fair amount considering the amount of cuts being made at the club, lack of spending on transfers, etc., etc. So I mean, it will be less, but it's still going to be a huge amount. The rumoured amount's around 70 million. Again, it might become clearer when the accounts come out next month, because I think they've got by the end of April, haven't they, to submit their accounts. So I just think that anybody, like you just alluded to before, anybody mental enough to take this club on wants probably the head saint, to be honest.
But there was then a third rumour, wasn't there? Because there was the initial Quinny's coming over on horseback to take over the whole club as chairman, and then there was the second noise just kind of facilitating a deal, and now there's a third, which is Ellis Short will stick around, but Quinn will be the business end in terms of football. So it's all a bit up in the air. Keith Downey's come out and said he knows nothing. There's several national journalists who have denied it as well. Are we just getting our knickers in a twist about nothing, or do you think the payoff is near?
I don't know. Why would Niall Quinn work for Ellis Short again?
Well, they don't like each other, do they?
Yeah, because he sacked him in the first place.
He walked away, didn't he? But I think it was a disagreement. Yeah, which led to him leaving. Yeah,
it's crazy, because I think that's probably where the downfall of the club kind of began. The rot set in, because as soon as you don't have an operating manager who understands the industry, then you're always going to be led by market forces and agents, probably. And that, if you look at Jack Rodwell, Papi Djilabodji, Alvarez, all of these are probably agents who've come to Ellis Short and said, I've got this great player, you should sign him.
Yeah.
And we've fell for it each and every time, and it's been a massive downfall. If you don't have any kind of operating force in terms of knowing the business, in any business, you're just going to fail outright. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Ellis Short didn't seem to understand that. The person at the top of every company has to understand what the company does and how the industry works. It's like a greengrocer selling cars. It's the most mental thing in the world. That's the base level, the arrogance of Ellis Short, to be able to try to operate Sunderland without any prior knowledge of football and try and flip it as quickly as he did. And then also, I just think I don't understand why anybody would buy Sunderland. I seriously don't understand why anyone would work with Ellis Short. I don't understand why they would go into negotiations with Ellis Short, because you've seen what happened last summer with the German group and the Fulwell 73 lads. Tried to play them off against each other. They both pull out. Some problems with due diligence. There's clearly some real rot in it. I think if it was me, I'd wait until the whole thing is blown up, and then you come back and you go, there's a shell of a football team there.
With a stadium and a training ground.
With a stadium and a training ground. I'll pick that up for nothing, and we'll see what we can do with it. But at the moment, God.
I agree with everything you're saying, David, but I do hope the potential buyers aren't listening to this show.
Well, in the summer, at the minute, although it seems ominous, our future isn't decided yet, in the summer we will know if we're going to be a League One club or not. I think it's pretty safe to say we will be, but as of right now, we do still have a chance of staying up. But any potential buyer of the club is going to want to wait until that fate is sealed, or what you would be pretty stupid to go into negotiations not really knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
At least when we are in League One, we're more towards what you've just said, where we're pretty much at our lowest, and the price has went down that much to the point right now where we believe that Ellis Shaw's prepared to pretty much give the club away. I mean, if the rumours today are to be believed, he's prepared to stick around and keep effectively paying the bills while investors come in to sort the playing side of the club out for 2 years. I mean, it just sounds so bizarre,
crazy.
Doesn't it?
Absolutely crazy.
And it's quite sad, isn't it?
What does he get out of that at the end? There's an agreement on how much the club's worth, and then it's sold.
I suppose he stays owner while some investors come in and effectively buy our players for us.
That's dodgy. That sounds really dodgy to me.
Well, he apparently, by all accounts, from again what's been said today, any investor would be with a view to eventually owning the club. Yeah.
It's just weird. It's a weird fit, that, isn't it? You know, it's like a Darren Gibson parking job. It's a strange. Like, I don't see how, unless the American debtors are paid off, we can ever move forward. So, you know, you either look for that money to come in from somewhere, because we're going at an operating loss, I assume, at the moment.
Yeah.
I assume everything. So what is Ellis Shaw just paying that out of his own pocket?
Well, the last set of accounts had our wage bill at around nearly 80 million,
which will have been considerably cut now.
Yeah.
But we don't really know. I mean, costs have been cut, redundancies have been made, the top tier will be closed next year. The stadium running costs aren't as high, but then again the match revenue isn't as high, so we don't really know where we are at the moment. We can only guess.
You've got to think, we're going to struggle to sell players who aren't playing well currently, who are on big wages. So, I mean, getting rid of Jack Rodwell is going to be an absolute ball ache. If they can't, if Connor was there, he'd be telling us to put money in the swear jar.
He would,
but I think I don't know whether his wages would drop if we were going to League One, but 70 grand a week in League One, has that ever been done?
No.
I mean, I remember when Wolves done the back-to-back relegations and they had the likes of Roger Johnson and players like that on big money, but I bet it was nothing anywhere near that. No. Cattermole's probably got to be one of the top earners at the club on a long contract as well. I think his deal's still got another 3 years to run.
Wow.
2021 his deal runs out and he's got to be one of the top earners at the club again. He's probably saw a cut in his wages when we went down, but I mean, do you reckon that was even factored into contract negotiations, that if we ever end up in League One it would drop?
I
severely doubt it. I don't think this could have ever been foreseen by anyone. I don't think anybody expected this. And then you've got the likes of, again, Coney is another one who's got a big long contract. Who's going to buy him?
But the likes of Steele, who came in on a free,
another one.
He won't be on pittance, you know what I mean? He'll be on a decent.
I saw something around 15 grand a week he's on,
and he's incompetent.
It's a lot of money.
I mean, give me 15 grand a week. I'm not that competent at my job, but
it's difficult to see where we go. And I think, although people who tend to know a little bit about money and finances have kind of, I saw Chris Weatherspoon from ELSC dispelled the myth of administration on Twitter the other day. He wrote the book on short tenure at the club, didn't he, etc. Chris said
works in finances.
Yeah, he says it's just not plausible for someone to go into administration, but you can understand why people do fear that word and why they do talk about it.
Especially when the top brass at the club, Ellis Shaw, Martin Ben, don't really seem to care. You kind of think, what's stopping them? But I suppose the bottom line for them is money, and if it doesn't make sense, you know, financially for Sunderland to go into administration, they probably won't just yet. Yeah,
and I think it was the Red and White Army meeting last week. That was one of the topics brought up. The guys on the panel said that they'd been informed by Bain that just wasn't on the cards. But I mean, I guess he was.
That's not the first time Martin Bain's lied to supporters' organisations, though. Yeah, allegedly lied.
So hang on, I've missed this because I've been away. Right? Martin Bain was supposed to appear in front of
was with Chris Coleman at the Peacock for Wise Men Say. They'd organised a kind of a live Q&A, and I think we lost 2. I can't remember who we lost to. We lost anyway. I mean, which time did we lost the game and the club pulled out of it the next day. Maybe.
Yeah, I think the reason cited.
I mean, the lads from Wise Men Say were pretty pretty annoyed because they'd been done over, really.
Yeah, and the venue.
It's crazy that they would think, oh, well, of course we'll pull out only if we lose a game.
Yeah.
So we've lost pretty much every game this season.
I don't think an actual reason was given. They were meant to disclose that to them, and they didn't.
Yeah.
But I think he'd been getting a few threats on Twitter, hadn't he, Martin Bain?
Possibly.
From people who said, do this, do that to him when he's on stage, and
right. Yeah. I imagine there'd have to be security there.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't know the ins and outs of that. Like,
it's a shame it was cancelled because it was a potentially interesting event, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a good opportunity for Coleman to sit in front of the fans and talk.
Which is who I feel sorry for, because he's been denied of that chance when I'm pretty certain actually he would have definitely been up for it no matter what the result was.
Yeah.
Well, I actually listened to the explanation that the lads gave on their show. They wanted Coleman not to be in, and Bain had insisted that he was there. They made that clear that they didn't think it was a good idea that Martin Bain would be there. He repeatedly made it clear that he thought he should be, and in the end it all fell to bits, which must be galling on their half, because they wanted to make sure that, you know, the fans got what they were expecting, which was Chris Coleman, not Martin Bain.
Yeah, definitely. Right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with a second half substitution in the hosting stakes, which I'm very much looking forward to. See you shortly.
So we have a substitution here. Welcome to the second half of the Roker Report, and different voice. It's me, Johnny, back again. Moving from being a guest on the show to being the host. I mean, not a bad little move up there, I guess.
Johnny, there's no pressure with me being sat right here eyeballing you.
Sitting with his arms crossed, laid back.
Just silently judging you.
Just so the listeners know what's going on. Like, Johnny was meant to be here at 5, and he had prior...
I was doing my Spark show still, so I've had to leave that for now, and I'm back in the studio here. And this should be a lot of fun. We've obviously spoke about the Niall Quinn situation. Let's move on to the next bit.
You know all about what we spoke about, didn't you?
It's really nice that this podcast is as rigorously organised as Sunderland.
We're usually a lot better, aren't we?
Yeah. Amazing method. You've all gone method. It's a meta.
Well, David, I think we'll do this, and we'll start off with you on this. We're going to do a fill in the blank. Okay. Basically, we're going to give all of you a statement that is missing a word, and all you have to do is think of a response to fill in the blank. Okay. So I'll give you 3 statements, and whoever comes up with I'll judge whoever gives the best answer, basically. Okay,
go ahead.
No pressure on you, David, comedian.
Fire away.
Professional funny Martin.
Fire away.
So, after a solid victory over the Netherlands on Fridays, England's young squad showed a glimpse of what they are capable of in the summer. So fill in this blank. England's World Cup performance this summer will be...
disappointing.
You'd be stronger than that if you want.
Hopeless. Full of hubris. Racist, probably. I don't know what. I mean, it will be. Do you want me to debate the point? It will be disappointing, guys. I'm really sorry. Right? There's no fun in football anymore. I realised this a couple of years ago. We're never going to win another game, be it the national team or Sunderland, and you'll spend the rest of your lives sadly going to games.
I'm Welsh, so I don't care about it.
All right, okay.
He's Welsh.
I got that in.
Aren't Wales currently 1-0 down?
They lost, yeah.
All right, okay.
They won 6-0 or something against China.
Yeah. We've got the finals of the China Cup, lads. Which,
yeah. So
who did they play in the final?
Uruguay.
Well,
Cavani scored.
No, I was about to laugh at you, but no, that's fair enough. Yeah, Uruguay aren't bad.
Wouldn't it be great to be from Uruguay?
It would. Diego Forlan, Luis Suarez, Cavani.
Forlan's still playing, you know.
Does he?
He plays in China.
Of course he does. That's where everyone goes. They want to buy. Gav, what about yourself? England's World Cup performance this summer will be
worse than Sunderland.
Okay, well, yeah, that's probably.
I'm expecting this to be like every other tournament where England get hyped up that much that when they do turn up and play somebody not even half decent, things fall to bits. Especially with all. I was listening to I think it was the Totally Football pod, and one of the guys on there was like talking as though England's going to win it. As at 20-1, England are a great outside shot. And I was like, we're not really, are we? We're still talking about what formation we're going to play, whether Eric Dyer can be shoehorned into being a centre half, who our best Petterin is in the centre of the midfield, it's like, nah. If you're talking about Jake Livermore and Lewis Cook going to a World Cup, we aren't going to do very well, especially with Belgium in our group. I
think we're okay in terms of like full-backs, and if we play to those stylistic strengths. The problem that you always have with international teams is that they always are too defensive, because you only get a really short amount of time as an international manager. So what do? You can't implement a philosophy. What you do is you just crack out a formation and hope you don't concede in the first half. So actually tournaments become really dull because you've got really defensive teams playing against each other.
James, what do you think England's World Cup performance this summer will be?
Poisoned.
No.
Okay.
Topical, you see. Is it too soon? Or?
And so why is that?
Well, there was a story in the news. I don't know if you saw it a couple of weeks ago about
it's pretty topical.
It's been all over.
We might be going to war with the Russians.
Diplomats expelled and national outcry. And Theresa May, her face actually expressed emotion at one point, which was madness.
That's because she was poisoned.
It's contorted.
She had wind.
So it's gone from seasoning to poisoning. Is that how it is?
Yes, that's how it's looking.
For me, England's World Cup performance this summer will be disappointing, as everyone says. I mean, I feel like it's going to be one of them things where, it looks like a really great team, a really team together, young team, really promising, and we finish bottom of the group stage.
I hope so.
I don't know. I'm one of those cynical fans who enjoys England lose. I don't enjoy England losing, but I'm just like, that's funny because they're overhyped.
Now, to be fair, I will want England to do well in the World Cup with Wales not being there, because it's.
Because it's English?
Well, not really, but it's nice when England does well, because you get such a good atmosphere. Like, when England does well, there's nothing like it in this country. It's ridiculous. So I do hope England put it out of the bag.
I'm from Panama, me.
Oh, yeah. You do as well, so I'm sick of explaining.
Well, it was weird in that last World Cup, wasn't it? Because Costa Rica finished top of the group.
Well, I'll tell you what was mad in that last Euros when Wales got the semi-finals in England. That was crazy.
Is that the one where England beat Wales?
Yeah, we did.
2-1.
Wales still got further than that. I mean, I'm not
cared about that.
You best double check. But.
So then we also have the famous rotten core. Here we go. The rotten core is a term used a lot by fans when describing Sunderland. So fill in the blank. The real problem with Sunderland AFC is, David, what do you think?
Lee Cattermole's knees. There's a huge problem with Sunderland AFC. But I think they are, like our hopes for the rest of the season, non-existent anymore. We have waved goodbye to Lee Cattermole's knees. God bless them and all who sail in them. That's all I say.
There mustn't be that much cartilage left in them, so they're pretty hollow, I would say.
Do you know what? I watched a game from 2010, because I'm a cool guy, right? I'm a cool guy, guys. I've got nothing to do during the day apart from, submit scripts to things. So I watched a Sunderland game from 2010. I can't remember what it was, but Lee Cattermole, the rate of pace that he has lost is incredible. It must be 5-10 yards that he's lost in those 8 years.
I remember in Steve Bruce's first season, he done an amazing cross to Kenman Jones to score a goal.
Yeah,
it was like Lee Cattermole crossed the ball as if he was a winger. It looked pretty impressive. I haven't seen that for a long time.
I remember his goal against West Brom, the pinger from about 30 yards. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Touched it down, not controlled it, got out of his feet, boom, right in the stanchion.
That one time he did something good.
Yeah, that one time he scored for Sunderland.
Happier days, guys, happier days.
Happy days, yeah. He scored against Spurs when they got beat 5-1.
Ah, yeah, he put us 1-0 up, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
We're staying up? Oh, no, it's 5-1.
So, James, the rotten core is a term used by the Sunderland fans. The real problem with Sunderland AFC, though, is...
Connor Bromley. I'm adamant. It's Connor Bromley.
Ever since Connor Bromley put himself under the spotlight, it's got worse.
Ever since he signed for Roker Rapport, it's gone downhill. My life has, certainly.
This podcast's improved without him, yeah.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
That might be the presence of David, though, not necessarily us. Or Johnny. Johnny in the hosting's done better.
Yeah.
On 5 minutes,
I think it's bad that you've got a picture of him on a dartboard in the corner, though.
You weren't supposed to say that.
That's not on everyone.
So, Gav, the real problem with Sunderland AFC is...
Snapchat.
Oh, the media team is going at them.
Nah.
Yeah.
I like that, lads, don't get us wrong. But the Snapchat could be done with going in the sea, like.
Going in the sea.
Yes, Grabs was my favourite one. Yes, Grabs.
My favourite one was when they posted one of the goalkeepers' safe hands, Steele or something.
Was it Steele or right, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the two.
Aye. It was like someone was taking a shot and he palms it up in the air and Eddie goes in the back of the net. I was like, that's not really safe hand.
I'm not on Snapchat, you know.
Get on Snapchat, mate. Get on Snapchat.
Disconnect yourself from Sunderland, you'll be happy.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, he tries to show so much enthusiasm, and it's just like, oh, bless you. You tried so hard to make it look good, but it's not working. It really isn't.
I'm pretty sure that. And this isn't actually Snapchat. This was just the social media generally. Did you see the reaction to them wishing Lee Catmull happy birthday the other day?
Yeah.
It was like it was just like, oh, happy birthday, Cats or whatever. And it was like a video of him. I think I told him to fuck off. Like,
See, it didn't bother me.
Well, there was that time when we wished Reece Greenwood a happy birthday when it wasn't his birthday.
Yeah, that was worse. That was worse. That really was.
No, but I will just stress this again. They are nice lads.
How rude of him, though. If someone wishes you a happy birthday, just say thank you. Why come out and say it's not my birthday?
Yaya Toure nearly quit Manchester City over not getting a birthday.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. Well, for me, the real problem with Sunderland AFC is that we have no airport. So,
did you see that today? Someone tagged us in it on Twitter. The Echo posted an article about how Newcastle Airport's it's the best airport in the country or something, and we got tagged in it. I was like,
Roker Rapport got tagged in it.
Yeah.
Strange thing.
People just the airport, isn't it?
Good crack.
Something to get raging about, the airport situation in Sunderland.
I might write an article about it.
Do it.
Yeah, you should do. Write about how Sunderland don't have an airport.
Yeah, when we need one. That's where the city of capital of culture thing was lost, was we don't have an airport, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Coventry do.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to start with James on this one. Joel Azoro scored twice on Friday in an impressive performance for Sweden under-21s, prompting more speculation about the future of transfer of the young forward. So, Joel Asoro. James Asoro. Joel Asoro leaving Sunderland would be
expected. Not a surprise.
Predictable, yeah. Yeah. What do you reckon, Dave?
In his best interests, I'd say.
What about yourself, Gav? Sam?
Banter.
Banter.
Because we eventually find a young player who looks maybe not in the same category as Pickford, but maybe that rung below, who could probably go on to do it well, and we'll get ourselves relegated to League One. And he's probably going to leave for like pennies, and he'll end up scoring against us in 10 years' time, like every other player that's ever played for Sunderland has done this season.
I don't think so. I think it'll be David Belly on Mark.
Oh, David Belly.
Never see him again.
I hope you're right. If he does leave, I don't want him to do well. I'm horrible like that.
What happened to John Stead? Is he still at Bradford?
No, he's playing. He was playing last night alongside Shulrami Obi for Notts County.
Oh, what a partnership!
Watching that before I went on stage.
Isn't Kevin Nolan the manager as well?
I think he is, yeah.
That is just Sunderland banter team.
Yeah.
Chicken dancing their way around the pitch.
People who plotted the downfall of Sunderland.
Stead scored in that quarter. Was it a quarter final against Bradford? At the FA?
One of the worst days of my life. Watching John Stead put us out the FA Cup.
There was about
9,000
fans there as well, wasn't there?
Oh yeah.
I think was it a quarter?
Might have been, or the round before, possibly.
No, because we got lost in the quarter final against Hull. Remember?
Because didn't they beat Chelsea?
Yeah.
Or they might have beat Chelsea in the quarter final.
We had a pretty nice route to Wembley, and we managed to balls it up against a shit team.
Well, we did that. Gus Poyet, I'll never forgive him the whole game.
We did it with.
Well, that was Poyet as well at Bradford.
Was it Bradford?
Yeah. I remember the whole game because obviously that weak inside against Hull, as you always say. But I remember was Oscar Astari saved a penalty in that one as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oscar Astari.
Totally forgotten him. God,
he was a football manager legend. Oscar Astari. He was brilliant.
I actually thought he was alright. I like his chant. It was like
oh yeah.
Ustari.
Nacho Scocco as well. He
played that game.
Scocco
played that game. I think. Did Roberge play? Like all the shit we had that he dropped everybody, didn't he?
It's hard to know, isn't it? Like whether this happens to every team, that you just have loads of like also rans that people talk about in these kind of situations. But it seems like at Sunderland we've got a real concentration of them. Like, do you remember Kyriakos? Yeah, we won against Man City and then he came in and then fucked it. You know, like there's just loads and loads of those.
Wayne Bridge.
Haji Bar. Wayne Bridge.
Came at the same time as Kyriakos. Yeah, it was weird that one.
Norberg Carlson. Cabral. These were all signed pretty much at the same time, weren't they?
Silutska.
He was.
Silutska.
He was the one who had the photo of him with a woolly hat on the bath eating pasta.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
He hit the bar.
Yeah. There was a photo of him bollock naked, sitting in a bath with a woolly hat on, with a bowl of pasta, eating it in the bath.
I remember him hitting the bar with like a thunder of a shot against Fulham.
Right at the start.
I've got questions about the bastards. Who took that? Why does it exist? Was that his signing on photo? Was he holding up a scarf above his head?
I think it came before that and then turned him into a banter figure, didn't it?
Aye.
Oh, it's him who wears that woolly hat in the bath.
And eats pasta. Kidderminster Harriers, if you remember, game we played Kidderminster in the FA Cup. We only beat them 1-0. It was just like, we're making Kidderminster look good here, but Charis Mavrias scored the goal.
I remember that game. I was at that one.
The Greek David Beckham, as he was described.
Was he?
Yeah, I remember that. Maybe that was just me on Twitter, but
Mavrias was the Greek David Beckham. Al Mohammadi was the Egyptian David Beckham. There you go.
So what does that sign? The English David Beckham.
That would have been nice.
So what does that make Callum McManaman?
Shite.
The English Ahmed Al Mohammadi.
David, so where's Joel Azora going to end up? Championship, Premier League?
Happier in a nicer, bigger house, I imagine. That's where I'll end up. I don't know, I think Championship, if I was Championship team, I'd definitely take a risk on Joel Azora. I think he's shown enough in our absolute toilet of a club. And I just think that if you were to go to a big Premier League team now, you'd end up being loaned back out to a Championship club who aren't going to invest the time in you in the way that if you're owned by the team, they are going to. You're probably not going to go up the league in the way that the big hitters in the Championship tend to have lots of money now, so they tend to buy their star players rather than loan them. So he'll just be loaned out to a similar club in the situation of Sunderland and end up just struggling again in a fairly shit team. So if I was him, I would go to a Championship club and actually play some games and commit myself to them.
Don't know if it's just me, just screams like Fulham or something, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like Azora.
London.
Like something like that, where Fulham, good reputation for producing decent players as well, giving young kids a chance and in an environment that they're allowed to thrive in.
Him and Ryan Sessegnon in the team together would be great.
There's no way Ryan Sessegnon's playing for Fulham next season.
Yeah, I guess
he'll be in a top 4 club. Yeah,
no doubt. And as I met, Joel Azora scored a brace as well for Sweden as well. So that means his value obviously will go up now.
I watched the game actually.
Was it Swedish under-21s or Sweden?
Under-21s. They played Turkey away. He was man the match by a mile. Stood out a mile. He played off the right for the majority of the game. The guy up front, I think Dortmund have just spent something like 12 million on him in the summer. I forget the guy's name. Again, a young centre forward signed from the Swedish league to go and play for Dortmund. He started up front. Azora on the right. He went off. Azora went up front. Azora got a goal quite early on, but then his second goal, was from like a centre forward's position right down the middle, threw a ball and he just latched onto it and chipped the keeper. And I thought, Sunderland fans are like screaming to see him in that position. Sick of looking at Ashley Fletcher playing with his back to goal.
Oh God!
And Azora, I know it's against an under-21s team, but he just stood out a mile to me. I thought he looked really good. Took both these goals incredibly well. It'll do his chances of getting himself a move no harm. His name was out there again, and it's another case of. Well, it was a full weekend of them with the internationals for me. Like, there's nearly every player who was out on international duty seemed to do quite well.
Yeah, well, we'll get onto that now with Jake Clark-Salter as well, getting man of the match, I think, against for the England 21s, also scoring. And he didn't captain the side, did he?
He did eventually. Someone went off, yeah.
Captained them in the second half.
Nijaria played as well.
Nijaria as well. So, obviously, they're both on loan, so I imagine chances of them coming back next season for loan probably is quite unrealistic. But what do you think? Why do you think that we can't seem to get this quality from these players when they clearly have it about shown in these games, but we can't seem to show it in our team?
I hate it. I hate watching players that are rubbish for us play really well for international sides. It's like watching like your ex-girlfriend with a new boyfriend and she's like really happy. You go, oh, why didn't I ever? Oh shit. It's. I think. I mean, obviously their value will go up. I'm interested in how you feel about Chris Coleman because the big selling point of Chris Coleman was like he's committed, he understands the region, but a lot of people have given him quite a big pass because everything else is wrong at the club. But if these players have that talent and they're not showing it in week out for Sunderland, there's something wrong there in terms of motivation or tactics. He's doing something wrong because other people can get it out of them.
I also noticed how the goalkeeper makes a lot of errors. So if the goalkeeper didn't have those errors in him, maybe the defenders wouldn't look as bad, because obviously then a lot of goals have been from Reuter's fault or Steele.
But then you look at like what Clark Salter did in the last game, where he gets himself stupidly sent off. I saw that coming a mile away. I think he made like 3 fouls before he eventually got sent off.
I think there's a couple of points here. I mean, playing for the England under-21s doesn't hold as much pressure as playing for Sunderland's first team, I don't think. I think there's a problem in terms of setup in Sunderland. I don't know we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We're not privy to that, but at England under-21s, this is St James's Park. St George's Park. It's going to be professional. It's going to be tailored to them. They've got quality around them. They've got people that understand what they're doing, trying to get the best out of them. Whereas at Sunderland, they're kind of just thrown in there and it's sink or swim, isn't it? Really. I
would liken it to slipping on a comfy pair of slippers or something, isn't it? For like Clark Salter. Like I saw the photos of them training. He was like joking around with Tammy Abraham, and
they've known each other for years.
Through the system at Chelsea. You know what I mean? They've played all the way through the England system together. You know, going into a no pressure environment against a poor team, being able to express themselves. I think that's the environment that you want to play at Thrive in. Obviously, they can't do that every week. They can't play for England under-21s every week. They need to grasp the opportunity that they've got at Sunderland, in my opinion, and actually, recognise it. Look, all right, it's bad. You've got 5-6 weeks left of the season. Make the most of it. Go out there, give your all. Don't lose your head. Try and learn from your mistakes. If you can do that, you go back to Chelsea a better player. Go back to Liverpool a better player. Unfortunately, what we haven't seen this season is any of that. None of the players that we've loaned, in my opinion, have shone. I think Ajaria, the last couple of weeks, has looked a lot better, but he isn't. I don't think he's any world beater. I think it's maybe the wrong team for him. Same goes for Johnny Williams. I think, although he's been injured the whole time, it's hard to judge him. I just think that when you look at us and you look at his qualities as a player, we don't suit each other, and I don't think that would have ever worked.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? I feel for these players because they haven't been brought in terms of what can they bring to Sunderland or what does Sunderland need. It's been who can Sunderland get.
Well, it was Grayson, wasn't it? He signed a load of players for a system that they couldn't play. Like, he shortened the pitch after the Celtic game in pre-season.
He did.
So we could play long ball football with no strikers over the... I think James Vaughan was our tallest striker at 5'11".
I thought Graven was taller than Vaughan. Do you know?
No, I don't think he was particularly tall, was he?
Yeah,
even still, I think
he was a bit taller.
You wouldn't say that you would play long ball football while it was Graven. But I mean, it was purpose. He signed players to play long ball football that couldn't play long ball football. You know, and that's part of the issue when you're talking about what our opinion on Coleman is. I think he inherited the squad just too many different. I mean, nobody was signed with a plan in mind.
No.
I think if Chris Coleman had been given that summer window, it would have been a different story. But he wasn't. He's walked into the situation he's got. In January, when we were still in trouble, but had a chance to get out of it, he wasn't given a penny. The only player was signed on a permanent basis has been injured, which is Luar, who apparently is fit. But anyway? I mean, I'll be surprised if we see him start a game between now and the end of the season, because it just doesn't seem like he was signed with any plan in mind. He was signed because he was available and he was free, and that's sort of the issue we're facing now. Is we don't have a team equipped for this battle. And I look at it and I think it's not even a team equipped, because I mean, you can sort of see, you look at the teams at the top end of the league and you can see what momentum can do for you, and you maybe think with a bit of momentum behind these players they would have done better, but they wouldn't. I don't see where they would be challenging in the league. I don't see what games we've lost this season or drawn this season where we've deserved to win it and we've just fell short with maybe a bit of luck. I just think we were put together on a shoestring, and this was always coming, and we just maybe didn't see it early enough. You know, there's some very.
God, I'm so depressed. This is the saddest.
I think to go back to
I was having such a nice day, guys.
To go back to the England point as well, as I think England under-21s, they seem to have a clear identity as well, whereas I'm not sure Sunderland
it's not
do.
just the under-21s, though, is it? Right through the system,
they're trying to implement.
We're actually winning things as well.
Yeah.
Under-17s have won the World Cup, under-19s have, under-21s won the Toulon tournament last year. Like, we are actually now geared up to win something eventually, because our young teams are winning things and they're playing together and they're getting opportunities in big teams. You're seeing players like Kane emerge, who 5 years ago was playing for Millwall in the Championship, not doing particularly well, is now got over 100 goals in the Premier League. He's by far the best striker in the world, and you just think in the next 5 years we're going to have to try and win something, because it's the best crop of players we've had in that sense. I know I was talking before saying we'll probably get knocked out. I just think eventually when these players get a little bit more experience together, there will be a chance to win things, and it's nice to see one national team take something, because I think what they did is they recognised what the Germans did, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Germans failed so spectacularly over many years that they ripped up the whole plan and started again. That's what, when you mentioned St George's Park, we're starting to see.
To bring it back to Sunderland, though, I think given the performances of Asoro, Clark-Salter and Ajaria, I think fans are going to be a lot less forgiving now, because they've seen, or from a lot of fans' perception, these players can do it if they're asked or they're interested. That's how it's going to look for me anyway.
To many people, yeah definitely.
Also, Paul's got another player I'm going to cover here, Brian Oviedo, one of our better players. He's obviously getting on a little bit, so I guess, can we keep him?
No, I think he's worth something.
No?
I think anyone who's worth something will go.
Same. And he's got a South American name, so he's instantly worth money, isn't he?
Cool dude.
He was called Brian
Jenkins or something like that.
Something like that. He wouldn't be worth anything, really.
Brian Jenkins.
Brian Jenkins.
South American wizard. Brian
From
Jenkins.
Pennywell. No, yeah, he's not a... I wouldn't say he was a top player, but he's certainly going to find a club, isn't he?
He got a nice assist for Costa Rica as well in the international break.
Yeah, against Scotland.
Yeah, it's still a nice assist though.
Yeah.
Like how any goal against Scotland just downgrades it.
So when you watch Oviedo play, I mean, does he look like one of those players where some of them will say, look like he just can't be asked to play? Does he have that sort of, does his body language suggest he's not interested, or is he one of those who tries?
Yeah, I think he does try. I mean, he scored that goal against Millwall, which was a peach. I think he does try, but I think we'll concentrate a lot on players' body languages when things aren't going very well, and I think it's very hard to look motivated and to look like you care all of the time when Sunderland is so bad all of the time. So he probably doesn't look arsed at times, and his body language probably isn't the best at times, but I think for the most part he is. I think for the most part he does care.
And so what about these players who are always injured? I mean, what do you think, Dave? Would you say that like with Johnny Williams and Tyce Browning, should we just let them go?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah, they're going to play, 2-3 games?
Browning's
gone
out
for the season, isn't he?
There you go.
He's gone back to Everton now.
Has he?
Yeah, he's gone back.
All right, because I thought
getting treated.
I thought the suggestion was he was staying at Sunderland through his injury.
I thought he was. I thought he'd gone back to Everton.
This is Alvarez all over again, guys.
I hope he has.
Well, he might still be at the club officially, but I'm sure he'd gone back to Everton to get treatment or assessed or something.
Do you know when they talk about like some loan deals being really bad for players?
Yeah, that's.
He's regressed so much. He looked like one of the best players in the team at the start of the season to like. Before he got injured, absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
Toe punting the ball with his left foot out of play every time he come near him.
He looked strong, comfortable on the ball when he first came in, didn't he?
I think Sunderland's probably digressed him. Like, is that a word? Digressed?
I worry about Sunderland's reputation in and amongst football personally, because we get a reputation for ruining decent prospects.
I hope so, because I'm sick of us loaning players.
Yeah. But in the past we've had a reputation of, a Danny Welbeck can go there or Johnny Evans can go there, and that can be used as a springboard for their career. Now that's gone up in smoke. Sunderland is not a good environment to bloody youngsters.
I'd love to test it though, like Kylian Mbappe comes in and then 2 years later he's turning out for Dagenham and Redbridge. Never send a player to Sunderland, lads. They'll lose their pace and their mind.
Doesn't make you think, doesn't it? Like, how many players' careers have we ruined? There's got to be a canny long list, at least in the last 5 years. Like
inadvertently as well, like Diaby's, like he got snapped at Sunderland and was never the same again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got a Dan Smith voodoo doll, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Sticks pins into it every day.
Drowns it.
But we've got.
Hang on, I missed that. Do
you not remember that?
Dan Smith was an academy.
Yes, I remember.
Came on as a sub under Kevin
in his
Ball,
debut, wasn't it?
And Wenger said he should never play football again. It's a little bit of an overreaction.
But then Abu Dhabi was never.
I think he blamed Kevin Ball for that, didn't he? As well.
Did he?
There was.
I fancy Kevin Ball's chances against Arsene Wenger. Like, I really do.
But Diaby, I don't think has a club anymore. somehow I'm like you. I don't have anything to do. So I stumbled across Diaby's Wikipedia page the other day, and he's not got a club, unsurprisingly. But there's a player who was so highly rated as a youngster. Sunderland ruined his career, and he didn't even play for us.
Yeah.
In fact, should have come full circle, and he should have ended up playing for us.
Yeah, you should join.
Yeah.
We should probably
touched
just sign
so
him.
many lives, haven't we? This is like if it was Sunderland in It's a Wonderful Life. Clarence would just come down and go, yeah, jump, yeah.
It's a great film.
So we'll go on to some Twitter questions. Gav, Jake's asking the question. Jake Collinson's asking, now Jason Steele's suspension's been lifted, do we put him back in the sticks or persist with Lee Camp?
That's just...
Like, what do you want, AIDS or chlamydia in it?
I'd take chlamydia in that situation, I think.
So, hang on, which one's AIDS? Another
Steele, definitely.
Steele is AIDS.
We've rated this a couple of times. We did it on Roker Rapport TV, and I think Steele was AIDS. Like, I think Reuter was gonorrhea, and I think Camp
program title. There's the show title.
Yeah.
The episode.
I don't know.
You could rate the whole squad in diseases, though, couldn't you? Like, I mean, Lee Catamol's like a heart bypass.
Is it worth just giving Max Stryjek a chance now?
Well, no, because I think
he's not very good.
No, I championed that for a little bit, but I just think it's too late now. We're paying Camp's wages for the rest of the season. Just play him. He's quite clearly.
I last saw Stryjek against Newcastle under-23s, and he was shocking a couple of times, but the one thing he had about him was a bit of presence, and he managed to save it.
He's quite big, and he's quite.
Yeah,
big.
He had a bit of presence, and he commanded his area. But you don't know if he can bring that up into the Championship or not, because
he's so stereotypically Polish as well.
In theory, Reuter should command his area well, but he doesn't. He just flaps around.
Well, I was thinking about him the other day. I was thinking how long's he got left before his finger decides it's healed.
Oh, that was nasty, that though.
It was only the start of February and all, but I was just thinking maybe we could get him back before the end of the season. I don't know. But you would like out of the lot of them, he's the one who looks like a Championship goalkeeper.
Do you think?
Oh, he looks.
Well, I've watched a lot of Championship football this season. I don't think there's any good goalkeepers. I think he is probably about there.
Right.
Because do you not remember the Millwall game when he threw two in?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, the kid in goal for Millwall is like getting rave reviews now, and it's like,
what's he called again?
Oh God,
David Freda. No, I'm making that up.
I think you're making it up, yeah. There's no good goalkeepers in this league. They're all poor.
That's a good point, actually, because I can't think of a good one off the top of my head. Like, usually
Stockdale won Keeper of the Year last year, but he's playing for Birmingham, who are like probably going to go down with us.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think there are any good goalkeepers in this league. Manonia, maybe, since we know what he's about.
Yeah.
But even then, Reading are struggling, aren't they?
We probably should have kept Manonia looking back.
It's a bit like the Rodwell thing.
This he's
worth some of the money. You know, he's worth £2 million.
Yeah, he's
so
got the cause.
£2 million.
Well, Martin Bain called it efficient, didn't he?
Well,
it was an efficient piece of business.
Yeah, it's not so efficient when you bring Jason Steele on a free. But
it was £500,000.
Oh yeah, £500,000. I wish he was free. Christ,
I don't.
The thing.
I wish he'd been rated about 10 million. So
the fact that we paid money for him makes it even worse.
Well, he's like
quarter of the budget.
Well, like I said before, he's here for at least another 3 years, I think, isn't he?
No, he's not, is he?
Yeah, I think he got a 4-year deal.
He's fallen a long way since being named in the GB Olympic squad for.
Stuart Pearce was the manager, though.
I'm going to be 33 when we finally get rid of Jason Steele. It's terrifying.
A couple of people have said that was about Steele being in the GB squad. And I always go back to that. Like, Pearce was the manager, and he gave Fraser Campbell an England cap as well.
Yeah, he did.
Let's not get too carried away with that. Like.
My friend Becca, she's got a question. She's a Chelsea fan, so like, you know, her opinion of like the team struggling is a little bit different to ours.
Well, her opinion on football doesn't mean anything.
So she says, would we rather have Morata, Giroud, or start a false nine?
In a false nine?
Yeah.
Oh, in a false nine.
Starting a false nine.
Is that a Chelsea question? Yeah, isn't it? I forgot they all play for Chelsea.
I mean, I'd rather have Morata in the side over Giroud any day.
I'll have any of them. I'll have Morata's left leg.
I'll have Tammy Abraham. He's out on loan.
Better than anything we've got.
Tammy Abraham's a good one. Like, yeah, he would be good. He would have been good for us.
Yeah, it's just a shame we got
just anyone. Ashley Fletcher.
I hate Chelsea, you know.
Ashley Fletcher
makes me so sad. Just the way that he walks around, it's like you don't have to do this, mate. I wonder if he's being sort of blackmailed.
Someone's got his mother up against the wall.
Literally on deadline day, it was like a knife in the back. You will go to Sunderland.
You have to go to Sunderland. No.
I actually found myself with a bit of spare time on my hands the other day, and I was looking through Ashley Fletcher's Twitter, and he's tweeted all throughout his career when he was at West Ham, when he was at Borough, come to Sunderland. It's just stopped. He's clearly just lost all enthusiasm for everything. He doesn't even tweet anymore. After every game,
the modern day footballer.
Well done, lads. Comes to Sunderland, nothing.
How do you judge a modern day footballer's mentality? You check his Twitter and see what he's been tweeting.
Yeah.
His Instagram story.
Yeah. Well, what do you reckon? I mean, you said you don't like Chelsea. Tell me why, James.
I don't like Chelsea because of. Well, I don't like Chelsea because I went to uni and my best mate was a Chelsea fan, and his reason for supporting Chelsea was that they won the league essentially, and he was from Reading, which, Joe, if you're listening, this is a stupid reason to support Chelsea.
I wouldn't support Reading, though, would you?
A lot of them. Well, if I was from Reading,
No, it's just a massive industrial estate.
You'd still support your team, though.
Would you have sacked Jaap Stam? If
The
you
Reading
were,
manager,
if
yeah.
you were, yeah.
I would have sacked him months ago. I think.
No, when he was playing centre half for Man United,
No.
would you just sack him? Just for a
Can
laugh,
you imagine being the man who told him we don't need you anymore, mate?
Yeah.
He was kind of nasty, wasn't he?
Oh.
But and being serious, we had a big crack about this the other day in our group chat, and I said, like, why have they left it this late? The writing was on the wall with Reading months ago, and
it was.
there's been loads of I think their chairman's been building up the courage to tell them they don't want him anymore. It's took this long, and they finally went, right, we're going to have to see him off. Yeah, like the fans are
Jaap
starting.
Stam was somebody that a couple of the writers in the Roker Report fancied in the summer as well.
Well,
he was quite highly rated.
He did incredibly well.
There were
two penalty kicks. What was it? One penalty kick away from
off the Premier League. I guess it shows how what's the word I'm looking for?
It's momentum in football.
No, like the team just weren't very good, but they managed to over-exceed expectations.
Overachieve.
What I'm looking for. Their best player went to Huddersfield. He sat on the bench all season. Most famous for getting his wang out on telly. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, was that his? How did you know?
Seen it a few
Looks like Jaap Stam.
Yeah. But him leaving has kind of been the catalyst for them, and buying a player off Sunderland.
Yeah, that's it. We're ruining players'
so many
chances again.
And also a very important question here: prawn spirals or salt and vinegar spirals?
Salt and vinegar spirals.
I like the prawn ones.
Prawn cocktail for me. Like.
What? Are we talking about crisps?
Yes, we are.
Is this what it's come to?
It's international break, Gav. Anything goes, man.
Who asked that about Guess? And I'm not even going to say her name.
Hannah Brown.
Becca Gibson.
Oh, well,
No.
Different person. Prawn has to be.
Has to be prawn, yes.
What? I'm sitting in a room full of heathens.
Salt and vinegar crisp burn the inside of your mouth
Yeah, they're not nice.
and burn your tongue and stuff. Like you wake up in the morning, you can't you can't drink a cup of coffee because you've
I don't
had
drink
salt and
coffee.
vinegar crisps.
That's the problem.
Does anyone else have had that problem?
We've also been asked where.
You've eaten so many crisps.
No, just the salt and vinegar crisps like burn your teeth.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before. Yes. Yeah,
I've had that problem.
yeah. We've also had a question as why are we not out drinking Guinness rather than doing the podcast?
Because Quinny's not coming
Yeah,
anymore,
Niall's not
lads.
coming.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So
We did invite him in, but he said no.
He's distanced himself from the podcast.
From the Roker Rapport podcast.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm really disappointed in you, Quinny. You should have been on the podcast with us today.
I can't believe you didn't reply
If
to
you're
the
listening.
text message.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really pissed me off.
He's one, like been difficult to get a hold of over the years. We've tried to get him for the site a few times for an interview. He doesn't want to talk about Sunderland. I think he's.
I don't blame him, neither do I.
Me neither.
I'm sick of it.
I mean, he's obviously like knows a lot and probably doesn't want to answer many questions. Like,
Hopefully he doesn't want to do anything like that because he's still got the fingers in the pies and he's not letting anything. He's keeping his cards close to his chest.
It's so sad to see you concoct some hope. Oh yeah, it's because he is coming back. That's why he doesn't want anything to do with the club or talk about it.
This morning was the first time I'd felt anything about Sunderland in fucking weeks.
I know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I actually tweeted that. I said this is the most buzzing I've been about
it
Sunderland
was.
in months.
Like I haven't
ages.
felt anger. I haven't felt sadness, disappointment, happiness. But this morning I was.
Until I entered this room.
Niall Quinn's disco pants was on. I was fucking.
I had it on last night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, like YouTube. Ah, Quinn's disco, like that. And then I woke up and reality hit.
Keith Jowdy tweeted.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, it was James Hunter as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, James Hunter. Yeah.
Yeah, James did it. Bless him.
He had the unfortunate responsibility of being the bearer of bad news and just got hammered for it basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if he got hammered though. We
I don't
tweeted.
know,
I'm just need to find this tweet that we put out last night. It wasn't that one. Yeah. I'll live in the real world when I wake up, but for the next hour or so, the future's paved with Irish gold. And that was last night.
It's quite poetic, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And then, right now, we're back to square one. And
I'm still shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least we know he's not coming anymore.
Yeah.
Imagine if that had drawn out for a few weeks, then he would have really.
I know, but I
been
might have
bad.
been happy for a few weeks.
Yeah, you might have felt something.
Well,
Yeah.
at least let it carry on past the game on Friday. Can you imagine if everybody was like going to the game on Friday night, like,
I mean,
Quinny's coming away.
And if you think about it
Got
as
the
well,
match.
there's only really for me James Allen, who founded the club, who's been more influential in its history than Quinn. You can argue for Bob Murray and Tom Cowie, but Quinny's definitely up there. Like, to have him back involved would have been massive.
Yeah,
it would have been crackers. And in terms of like the historical parallels as well, James Allen played for Sunderland after founding it, and Quinny's kind of the only player with that sort of influence.
It's a good point, that.
So to have him back involved would have been like magical. Magic carpet ride too, but it's not going to happen, is it?
He spent enough time at Sunderland to know not to bother coming back, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, but he's probably
doesn't
been
want
in
to
a
get
padded
back
room
involved
since he left.
In day-to-day life of football. You don't blame him if that's the case, do you?
And
can you imagine being that man with that responsibility? I mean, you got to credit him, and I mean, he'll always be a hero in my eyes, but you have to be a little bit fucked in the head.
And
like.
Sunderland's not even like day-to-day responsibility. Like, we're such a catastrophic club that it's like hour to hour like man management it's going to need.
Well, imagine the heat he took off situations just for being Niall Quinn. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, just because of who he was, people viewed him so.
I'm gonna have a Mars.
Right, yeah. The listeners can. I was going to say readers. The listeners can hear.
As expected, I'm looking at the celebrations, and there's only Bounties and Snickers on the table.
You were late, mate. That's
the worst ones.
If you'd been in earlier, you would have got a Malteser.
Yeah,
there was only one Malteser, I believe, because I was scouring the packet for them.
We set that up as an allegory for the last transfer window.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, it's like Sunderland, their disappointment. And
Snickers, Bounties. That's all that's left, isn't it?
We are the bounty of the football.
If anybody's ever in the Sunderland Uni recording studios, there's some stuff for you.
We haven't had any sweets sent for a while, like, so if somebody wants to volunteer.
Yeah. I had to pay out my own pocket for sweets tonight.
It's a disgrace. Fucking disgrace.
Bad listeners, and you need to pull your fingers out. So if anybody wants to buy our sweets for the next month, you will get to sponsor the show.
Oh,
and
we'll say nice things about you as well.
We'll even put photos on Twitter and stuff.
This is a flawed marketing strategy, guys. Just straight off the bat.
No, we actually said we're easily bought.
Yeah, right, okay. Very easily.
And 2 listeners sent us sweets in, so they cut us for maybe a month or so.
And we get burgers as well from Church Lane, which is marvellous because they are.
The burgers from Church Lane are fantastic.
They are absolutely superb. Like, I'm not even just saying it.
I went Friday after driving around Sunderland Town Centre for an hour trying to find a parking space, then got to one, then realised I had no change, had to set up like a payment thing on me phone so I could pay for parking off my phone. Eventually got to it, walked 10 minutes to Church Lane. They had no tables, so I had to sit at the bar and enjoy my burger. But it was nice. It was worth the hassle. So if anybody fancies popping to Church Lane, I advise you get the Metro. Because
parking in Sunderland's a bit of a bastard nowadays, isn't it?
There's no free parking. Just like the club, it's disappointing, fills us with anger.
Because even around like the Ivy
really
House, you used to be able to like free parking, but now they've put permits, bastards. Capitalism. Capitalist bastards.
This is what the pod's
Viva Jeremy Corbyn.
We're talking about parking in Sunderland City Centre. It's like
and sweets and crisps and all kinds of things, like, not related to Sunderland, but it's more enjoyable, I guess.
It's the best podcast we've done in ages.
But
not talking about football.
I'm going to be the James Hunter of all this and bring it back to reality. And we're going to just talk a little bit about Derby. Obviously, we're playing on Friday at national break's over. Good or bad, depending on how you look at that, I guess. But we currently sit 5 points adrift of safety, as if you didn't already know, with Burton, Birmingham and Barnsley immediately above us. A win can pull us 2 points closer to 21st placed Barnsley, who play Bristol City. I mean, that's how far we're fallen. And, Big Mick McCarthy, do something for us for Ipswich against Birmingham at the weekend. That would benefit us quite well. So if the results do go our way, a miracle escape could still be happening, but another must-win game for us against Derby on Saturday. So the question is, do we come away with Pride Park with all 3 points? Can we do it?
No, definitely not. Obviously not.
We're on Sky. Come on.
We've got 8 games left.
Yeah.
And the average is 49 points, isn't it?
I don't think the average is going to count for much this year. Didn't Blackburn go down with over 50 points last season?
Yeah. And it's not looking like any of the teams down there are going to get anywhere near that.
So I think, so maybe 46, 40. Yeah,
wasn't the assumption we would have to win maybe 4 or 5 games?
Yeah, I think.
So what are we on now? Did you say?
I think it's 6 out of the next 8.
I reckon you've got to be like maybe 40, 41, 42.
Do you think still?
Mm-hmm.
I reckon that's
really low.
The teams are that bad around us. Like, how many times we haven't won in 10, have we?
I think it's 10 or
11. So we haven't won in 10 games, and we're still only 5 points.
Yeah.
And we were already in the relegation zone before those 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't actually. There's no gap starting to form because the teams above us are shit. And I think we posted an interview on the site today with Yeah, that would be my phone. We posted an interview on the site today with Gary Hours. There's a good 2-part interview on the site. I advise everyone read it. It's really good. And around the second part of, Gary spoke about the current situation at the club, and he actually said, you shouldn't give up when you've only got that gap. He says in the Championship you could have 3 games in a week, and you get a good little run in there, and then you're back in it. And he's right. He is right. I mean, I think we're all pretty much resigned to going down. I just think anybody who's watched us this season would know that this team isn't capable of that kind of turnaround. But imagine beating Derby on the telly on Friday night. It could change everything. But we've been saying that for weeks. Every game that comes up, we'll win. It could change everything.
It feels like it's come full circle when it has in a way, because we played Derby first game of the season. That was on Sky.
And we were the best team.
I wrote a piece saying, this Championship's mint. Even though we drew, I was at the Championship's mint. The ground was, semi-full. Everyone had a good feeling. I could see where the team were going, and then just dropped off a cliff. So it wouldn't surprise me if they give me that initial hope again. Maybe a hard-fought draw or a comeback or a win, and then we'll just go down with a win. That's what I could do. Because they always offer you a little grain of hope. So there will come a little grain of hope, and we'll all get very fucking excited, and then we'll go down.
I've always had this with Sunderland where, even for the last few seasons, where we win a game and then the next game looks winnable, and I feel like when Sunderland are almost considered favourites, they just don't show up, and it's when with the underdogs when we perform better. But I mean, I don't know, the Championship, I guess on paper, Derby are probably we're not much different to Derby in terms of on paper, but obviously their position in the league suggests otherwise.
Aren't they struggling a little bit at the minute? They're drawing too many games, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
They were right up there, and then
they've always bottled it when it comes to
the form since Christmas or January has been terrible.
Well, they've always been like that. They had the seasons under McLaren where they had real quality. They should have got up. They had Jesse Lingard and that.
Yeah, that's a good side, yeah.
And they've never managed to kick on. They always seem to crumble a bit. I mean, maybe that bodes well for us. I don't know, but
it really does make a difference. I don't think we don't have enough about us. I'm as much as I would like to think that we could win on Friday, and if we do win, we'll all be thinking about it. Ooh, maybe we could stay up, but I have not seen enough from this team to suggest that they're capable of it. No, and the only thing that might spark us into life is the fact they've had a couple of a canny break away from each other. And Coleman did say that. He did say that, didn't he?
Time around each other.
He said I think they just need to break away from each other, and the ones who weren't on international duty were given some time off.
Well, he gave them a bit off, didn't he? And Kone,
I got a bit of stick for that. I wrote an article about it on the site, saying how it was bad form. Basically, I thought it was shit.
He posted a picture of himself on the beach, didn't he?
Yeah, do you think that's shit? Is it just me who thinks that's shit?
I think it's shit. I think it's the same as Julian Lescott posting a picture of his car right straight after the loss.
Well, I got pelters for that, for writing that article. Loads of people it's up to him what he does with his spare time. What do you expect me to do? This and that. And I think it's not the point. It's the club's at such a low. The fans don't want to see you on a beach. They want to. They don't want to know about you. You just keep it's bragging in it.
It is. I understand both points of view. I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't have written the article about it because. But it's
self-serving.
I was a bit annoyed, but at the end of the day, it's it's his time.
Well, for me, it's
footballers have holidays. We would go on holiday if we had that money. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, so I'd see both sides.
I just think it was bad timing on his part, and maybe a lack of understanding for the situation. The fans.
It is a lack of understanding, but nobody gives a fuck if you win. But that's the point. We're not winning.
We've all got Facebook, haven't we? And people. Every photo on Facebook it's pretty much self-indulgent in it. It's people are the kids look really cute. He has a video of me kids looking cute. Or this is me in a nice restaurant. He has me food. That's why people do it. It's to brag. It's to show off a little bit. Why else would you put a photo on your Instagram if you're on holiday during this? I just think it's bad. I don't know. Maybe I did take it a bit too far, but I just think that it just shows how out of touch he is, really, and shows that footballers live in a little bubble where he probably hasn't seen a Sunderland fan outside the Stadium of Light ever. Do you reckon he gets approached in the street, or he probably lives nowhere near Sunderland? You know what I mean? I just think they're in this bubble where their actions, they don't see the consequences unless they're on the pitch on a Saturday when the fans are around them. They can't escape the situation. It's sort of that for me. Doesn't really care. I'm going on holiday. Look at me. I'm on a beach. I just think it's shit.
That's again a thing about what I was excited about when Coleman came in, is that he said, I'm moving my family up. I understand the area, and he thought he might maybe be able to instill a little bit of that feeling in the players, but it's just a lack of empathy. it's a lack of empathy. That's what he has. Doesn't understand that we are hurting and have been for like a really long time, guys. So when were you last happy?
It's a lack of empathy.
Last night when I thought Niall Quinn was coming.
It's a lack of empathy, but they're also these footballers. You've got to understand as well. They're a product of their environment. They're nurtured from a young age in a certain system, and they get so much so young that that's just what they're like. And to like. I completely agree with Gav. It's highly annoying, especially from my point of view, a working class lad from Hendon.
Are you from Wales?
Whose mum's... Well, no, I support Wales. I'm Welsh, but I'm from Hendon. For a working class lad from Hendon whose mother didn't really have much and trained to be a nurse and stuff, it is really annoying, but you've got to understand that they're a product of their environment, and that's just what they are, and there's no changing them, really. I do get a little bit annoyed about it, but I stopped getting annoyed about that a long time ago because you can't change it. For me, I just think just let them get on with it.
For me, it was just a reminder, like, we're going to be rid of these bastards eventually.
It's a reminder that they don't care, no doubt about it.
And I can't wait till the day they're all gone, and we're literally just looking at it. And I can turn up on a Saturday.
Replaced by people who are of the same ilk.
Yeah. No, but I think when you're talking about like Coney, this international break, Ivory Coast had a game. He's actually been left out of the squad. He was starting up until recently. The reason he's been left out of the squad is because he's playing so poorly. He's playing a poor team. Mm-hmm. Like, it should be a reality check for a person like that. You've lost your place, and you were playing in the heart of the defence of your country, and you've been left out of the squad because you're not playing well. For me, I don't know. I've read stories of like players like who really had like, you'll have all read them, like autobiographies of footballers who like had fight tooth and nail to become a professional footballer, and they really didn't take their careers for granted because they couldn't, because they had to start from the bottom. Players like Jamie Vardy, like, he's not a flash bloke, came from the bottom, and I just think these players, like you say, they're in a bubble, and they don't understand what normal people feel like sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, and they have to be told or make the effort, and I think Kone is one of those that he just doesn't, does he?
So is that the problem? Is the academy system the way that people
I don't think our academy players are like that.
No, I think
they're very grounded lads, to be honest.
Our academy players are very grounded, but I think there is a wider problem at football, is that they are given too much too young. I mean, you've got Chelsea's academy players. Some of them will be on as much as Jason Steele, 15 grand a week, and such.
We've got players like Lingard is on 100 grand a week now, and he's like what, 20?
And he won't. I don't think he's played 100 Premier League games yet.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's mad. So I mean, it's
getting very Yadar, this conversation.
It's a wider societal problem, really. It's a political problem, but I don't know how it's solved. Personally, if we started booting off about everything like that, would never stop booting off all day. You know what I mean?
I was wondering about like us and the whole like staying up, and obviously if we got relegated, then then that's like probably what we expect. But if we did like stay up, I mean, really, would things change very much next season? It's like every time we say in the Premier League, we're like, oh, next season we'll push on. We never do. So I don't know, like, even if we stayed up, would it just be like more the same?
I don't know about that.
Right.
I don't think there's a big difference between League One and the Championship.
Okay.
I think there's not a lot of skill in the teams. Like, you look at Cardiff, probably going to get promoted. They're just full of grafters, and they play to their strengths. Like, that's all I want to see at Sunderland. I'm not bothered about pretty football. We had that under Poirier for a while. I'm not bothered about having, a good squad for the Championship, which, to be honest, at the start of the season we did have. You would look at our team and thought, not a bad team for a Championship squad. It makes no difference. What to all of us, all Sunderland means is it's an institution of the area, and it's you want to see the players on the pitch put the effort in that you would give if you were playing for Sunderland. That's all you want to see. And come the end of the season, a lot of these players will be gone because they're out of contract, the loans have ended, and that's to be a real change in like the way things work at Sunderland. It's not a case of going out there and signing Aidan McGeady because he's a name, or Callum McManaman, who was a bit of a name, like got to man the match in the FA Cup final 5 years ago or whatever. Like, it's not about doing that anymore. It's about looking at it and going, we need a bit of pace and strength out wide. Who's playing in League One and League Two? Who could
there needs to be
better our team
and
would see a move to Sunderland as a massive step up in their career and a chance to prove themselves? Who would do that? Because that's what we've got to start doing. It's not about giving players who've been at a better level than Sunderland a chance to play first team football, because they don't see Sunderland for what we see it as. They see it as well, I'm at Sunderland now, I've got some, you know what I mean? We've done that too often for years now, and the culmination of it is we're about to start playing League One football because of bad recruitment and not signing the right type of players. And that for me is number one priority in the summer, is looking at what we need. What do we need in each position? Does that player play in League One? Doesn't matter. Does he see Sunderland as a massive opportunity? Does he have the mentality to cope with it?
I just don't think the mentality's been right since Kane left, personally. I think it's been downhill since then. I think in terms of professionalism, in terms of players not coming and taking the piss, I think it was just never right after Kane left. Because you hear the stories of of Jim Bonder, and
that was under his rule, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean exactly, and he didn't stand for it, and he sold them. Do you know what I mean? And the players famously forgetting to turn up for the bus to Barnsley, and them following in behind in the car, and Danny Collins said. Keane turned around and said, get a message to them following behind, tell them to go home. We don't want them in the squad if they're going to be late. We need that sort of professionalism. People might think it's harsh, and it might put some players off coming to Sunderland if they think the regime's like that, but if they're put off by that sort of professionalism, do they want it at the club anyway?
Very true.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I was going to ask these same for you. What do you reckon? Do you think it would be the similar sort of situation next season, or do you think if we did somehow stay up, we could look at actually being in that mid-table position that we expected?
I really like that now we've fallen so far that mid-table championship football is like the dreamland that we could possibly attain. Oh, could you imagine being 12th in the championship?
Yeah.
Oh, do you remember when I was young and we were 12th in the championship? I think nothing's going to change until the owner goes. So it doesn't matter what league we're in next year. The financial situation is what it is. We're not going to have any money in the summer. So it doesn't matter if we get relegated or promoted, unless someone comes in and buys Sunderland. It's going to be exactly the same. It's going to be closed up a section. It's going to be no one there in the ground. It's going to be disappointing signings. It's just going to be really drab until he goes. And with the finances as they are, that could be another couple of years. I mean, it could be until Rodwell's out of contract. It could be until
Quinny, Niall.
Quinny, yeah, I know. I just think I think that's the main problem. That's the main issue at the club is Ellis Short. Until we can get that sorted, it doesn't matter about who you sign from the lower leagues, whether they're hard working, whether they've got big egos, whether they're prima donnas. It's the base level rotten core of the club is Ellis Short and Martin Bain. Just inescapable.
Or I always go back to Margaret Byrne as being one of the reasons why we're in this situation.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she done a lot of things well. I think this was her first job as in that role.
Yeah.
So lack of experience there, and then I think the whole obviously Johnson situation, was she the one who knew about it?
He who must not be named.
Yes. Is that a go in the swear box?
Yeah.
Right. And also, I feel like Martin Bain obviously hasn't been great for us, but I feel like he walked into the similar situation with Chris Coleman, where it's well, you can't really do much about it.
I think you've got to question the morality of a man who can dish out redundancies when he's on so much money himself, and he has proved himself to be incompetent. Yeah, he's had his hands tied, and he hasn't got the best budget to deal with Martin Bain, but he still sold Minone for $2 million and brought in Jason Steele.
Back-to-back relegations, looking at
that was his call. He's you can in no way absolve him of blame by saying, oh, he's just shorts. He's shorts man. He's a hatchet man, and just because that's his job title and that's his role doesn't mean it's right. For me,
I'm feeling flawed right now. We need to pick ourselves up before we finish this.
Yeah. Well, one more.
Have a chocolate, Gav.
Yeah. One more quick negative thing. We'll do one more negative and then we'll move on. But just score predictions.
I think we'll lose 2-0.
I'm not confident.
I'm gonna go 1-0 Sunderland.
Okay. Oh, look at you!
Anyone go from Curtis Davis or something like that?
No, I'm gonna go Joe Lasoro to continue his good form and then get injured in the next game.
Okay.
I'm feeling a defeat, but I'm gonna say we're gonna win, because why not? I didn't think I'd be talking about Niall Quinn potentially come back to the club today, so
I'm gonna go for a 2-0 defeat. But I think I'm at work that day, and I work in a bar, so that's going to be great because it's on the TV, and I get to watch the game, so that'll be exciting. David, do you do improvisation?
Yeah, but not
Not now.
Not. Is your question? Do I want to improvise?
I was going to ask, bring the mood up a little bit, would you? Any little jokes that you
What do you want? All right. God, I'm so depressed. I don't really have anything in the. What do you want me to improvise around? I'll try and make it funny.
Can you do football?
Oh God, yes, unfortunately.
Just do a little bit of your show. Give the listeners a sneak peek.
I'll tell you a nice little joke.
Yeah, go on.
Just a one-liner. Okay. One of the things that you might know about me is that I'm genuinely a nice boy. I'll tell you something nice about me. I recently adopted a rescue dog. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have died on the mountain since he moved in with me. But still. There you go. It's a one-liner.
I like me and my mates just send one-liners to each other all the time, and the worse they are, the better, aren't they?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
No. mine are generally quite bad. Like.
There was this one couple I passed in the supermarket, and they were asking, "What do you want for tea?" And she said, "Do you want pizza?" He said, "I want a piece of you."
Oh,
wow. Sunderland delivers again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Classy place.
Speaking of Sunderland delivering, has anybody seen the video of the kickoffs in one of the bars on the seafront?
It was the Queen Vic.
Yeah, the Queen
just
Vic,
round the corner
I
from
was
where
kind of
I
like
did,
those tables flying and everything.
What?
Sunderland. Just had it giving it all that, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I literally work in the bar like it's down the road from there. We didn't know anything about that. It's like, oh wow, have you seen this?
Which bar?
Went viral, didn't it?
New Derby.
Do you really?
Yes.
So if anybody
You two
fancies,
just met.
Yeah. Well, if any of you who work are listening, well, yeah, I've just promoted you. David, what social media can we find you on?
Oh, I'm on Twitter. I'm on at David Callaghan. I'm on Facebook, David Callaghan -comedian. Although I haven't updated that in about a year and a half, so you can learn about my 2016 show there. It was really good. I'm on Instagram at Callahandleless. Pun there, guys. Bit of levity.
No.
Yeah, all right. And yeah. Oh, can I tell you about the Jeff Brown's play that I'm opening for?
Yeah, of course.
Next. I think it's the 14th. I should know because I'm doing 4 days of it. But I'm doing 20 minutes of stand-up before Jeff Brown's play about Davy Corner. It's called Cornered, and I think it's going to be smashing. Really, I'm really looking forward to it. It's the Peacock.
Fun for all Sunderland fans of all ages.
So if you want to hear about Sunderland capitulating to a different team in the past, then come on down.
Where'd you get tickets from?
The internet.
Just Google.
Google cornered tickets.
Yeah. It's Crank
Sunderland.
Danville, so maybe them.
Yeah.
Or
I think we might have some. We might have by the time people listen to this, we might have a competition on the site for some tickets. So be sure to enter that. And if anybody doesn't know who David Corner is, he was very famously played in defence in the League Cup final in '85 and probably should have put the ball out for a corner, didn't, and then Norwich end up scoring. We got beat, and then I've actually seen him do talkings where he spoke about his life after that. So funny, like I think he became a policeman after he finished playing, and he was I mean the specific details I don't know, but anyways he got called to there was a domestic or something at a house in Merton, and they get there and it's all kicking off. There's shouting, screaming, bodies flying everywhere, and this kid's smashing the place up. And so the coppers get themselves in, they grab him, they drag him out. Corner's actually standing outside, and as the guy gets dragged past him, he's going absolutely mental. He spots Davy Corner out the corner of his eye and just stops and stares at him, and then goes, "Why didn't you kick it out, Davy?" And just gets hopelessly dragged into the back of the copper van. And he's had to suffer that his whole life for that one mistake in the cup final.
You say that you want just local lads who really want to play for that, and they don't need to be really good. They just need to try. Look at the life of Davy Corner. It turns out we're as fickle as anyone else.
So have you got quite a busy sort of schedule and stand up and stuff coming up in the month?
Yeah, 2 shows going to the festival in Edinburgh in August, and then I'll be touring them. I'm hoping to do them in the northeast in sort of October time, but the one that I'm working on at the moment is a tech adventure through a 1996 episode of Taggart that the audience control. But I think it'll be smashing. I've done it a couple of times.
Imagine if the audience could control Sunderland from like...
It feels like
around the corner, I think.
Someone should be in control.
So lads, have got anything else to add?
No,
Fuck the mags.
I think if anybody's lasted this long on this week's show, then they won a medal. Like, I went quite what. Actually, no, they're getting about this length now. The shows, aren't they? I think last week went on an hour and a half.
We had like quality guests on last week.
Well,
thanks very much, Gav and James, for coming.
No problem.
Anytime.
And,
well done as host, Johnny. Well done as host.
Thanks very much. And David as well, thank you for coming in. Cheers. Remember, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Acast, and follow Roker Report on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube, where you'll be able to catch episode 4 of Roker Report TV. It's great fun. Check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, people need to watch that if they're not already. It is good.
Yeah.
It was the best episode yet, I think, this week.
Now Bromley is the better Bromley brother, I think. Genuinely.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. I'm your host, Johnny Goldsmith, and this has been the Roker Report. Thank you for listening.